I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm always very impressed when a new brand comes out with a running shoe because the running shoe market is so competitive. Typically, in order to stand out, that brand or that shoe has to have something unique, and I do think that there's something here. So meet the Hylo Impact. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod. You're watching Rad Dad Bod TV, where we review running shoes. Today, like I said, we're going to be breaking down the Hylo Impact, and this is kind of more of a first look slash first thoughts, as I have probably around 20-ish miles on the shoe, not kind of the full 40 that I normally would. One of the reasons is because this shoe actually did release in early 2024, and so I'm really kind of behind on the review game, but I got my first shot at it here early 2025 and wanted to make sure that I still highlighted the brand because I do think this is a pretty cool shoe and offering. Now, if it's your first time watching one of my videos, you may notice some timestamps below. Feel free to jump around to the various parts of the review, but if you do so, I would sure appreciate if you come back and watch the full video when you get a sec, because I put a lot of time and effort into these. And if you've been a loyal viewer for a while but you're not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, as I tend to drop videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But still, so far in 2025, we've been able to keep up our 5 videos or weekday releases throughout the year. Now, just to kick us off, some quick disclaimers and disclosures about the shoe is I was provided the shoe for free for the purpose of review directly from Hylo. I actually met them at the running event this year and they offered to send me a pair to try. That being said, I'm not being paid. They didn't ask for any specific content. They didn't give me talking points, talk tracks. No one watches the video beforehand, anything like that. All thoughts are entirely my own. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the intended use of the shoe. Now, the Hylo Impact is really kind of a standard daily trainer. It is, maybe you could call it like a max cushion trainer, and we'll talk about the specs here in a second, but for the most part, I think it's kind of in between the max cushion and the standard sections. The purpose of the shoe is really those daily miles, easy miles, potentially long run miles, and that's how we're going to be evaluating the shoe today. Now, the shoe comes in at $165, which again, if you're thinking that max cushion as well as daily category, it is on the slightly higher end, but for the most part, that's a reasonable price point for this category. Especially in 2025, we've seen kind of an uptick in prices of running shoes. Looking at the specs, the shoe comes in at 9.8 ounces and 280 grams. So again, it is on the slightly heavier side, but is not super heavy for a daily or max cushion daily shoe by any means. From a stack standpoint, you have 39 in the heel, 31 in the forefoot for a 8mm heel to toe drop. So again, really could be considered max cushion, but I think personally, and I'll talk about that midsole, that the way it feels and the way kind of it fits is really more of a standard daily trainer. Now, talking about fit, I would say that the shoe fits true to size lengthwise, and it has a fairly roomy heel overall, but not so much that you need a runner's knot or anything like that. And then I would say it's a snug midfoot and probably a standard overall toe box. So not necessarily wide foot friendly, but not like the narrowest shoe I've ever worn either. Moving to the upper, this is a renewable mesh. So I think that if I saw correctly, the shoe itself has like 40+% of it is made of entirely recycled materials. And that's really one of the goals of Hylo as a brand. You can see that that mesh is really, really nice, and it's very, very comfortable, very, very soft, but the upper is not overly cushioned. And that's why I say it kind of is in between a standard daily trainer and a max cushion daily trainer, because usually a max cushion trainer has a lot more plush in that upper. Now, the shoe though is very comfortable. It is very balanced. The upper is lighter than most max cushion trainers, more on par with standard daily trainers, but I would say that it's probably not the most breathable material in the world. We probably would have wanted to see a little bit more open mesh if we wanted more of that breathability, but from a comfort perspective, it's super, super comfortable. On top of the comfort, I do think the shoe has really, really good lockdown, again, because of that snug midfoot, but also because you have what I would call like, yeah, fully gusseted, but almost partially gusseted in the tongue. Again, if you look there, there's not like an overwhelming amount of cushion in the upper, but I think personally it is just the right amount, because for me, max cushion shoes oftentimes overdo it on the plush, to be honest. Especially for being highly recycled material overall in the shoe, I feel like the upper it does have a premium overall feel. Like, it's obviously a very, very well crafted shoe. And I think that's something that does stand through, because sometimes when you get these more environmentally conscious shoes, and a lot of brands, to be clear, are moving towards that route and trying to be more environmentally conscious. But right now, the leaders in the space, I feel like it doesn't always translate to the shoe and an actual running shoe. So I think Hylo does a great job here. Now, moving to the midsole, you have the Hyperbolt midsole, which is a super critical bioavailable foam. So I'm not sure if that means it is EVA or if it's some other material, but it is very, very soft and very, very squishy. It's almost close to Freshfoam X in the Freshfoam X 1080, but maybe not quite that squishy, because to me that's the squishiest foam on the market, but it is close to that. I do feel like you get a decent amount of ground feel in the forefoot though. So even though that is 31 millimeters, which is tall, I do feel like that foam compresses quite a bit and then rebounds quite a bit, which was kind of the biggest surprise to me, that the shoe has some decent pace versatility. Now, because of the weight, it's not really a shoe that I would want to do like repeats or want to do necessarily tempo or threshold in, but it could be a really nice shoe for a long run where, you know, you're going to get a little bit more feedback from the ground, you're going to get a little bit more energy return, a little bit more bounce. And typically, again, midsoles that are made of like bioavailable material aren't always going to be the most responsive, let alone the most durable, and I think they do a really good job here. The shoe as a whole is fairly stable as well, because the midsole does kind of extend further than the upper, so you do kind of sink into that midsole a little bit. Plus it has a somewhat protruding heel right here, so for the most part I think it does a good job of staying fairly balanced, and if you have some stability issues, I still think this could be an option for you. Again, just the pace versatility and kind of how nimble overall the shoe is on foot is another reason why I would put it more in the standard daily training category as opposed to the max cushion category, because max cushion really to me is like pure recovery shoe, and that's not the case here. Moving to the outsole, they did a really cool kind of design here. It says, if you didn't see that, run like the world depends on it, right? You've got the Hylo athletics kind of carved in there, and then you've got the dual coloring. I do believe that those are both the same material, which is a natural rubber outsole. For me, I felt like the rubber did its job primarily on the road when it's dry. I will say that I did run in these shoes when there was a little bit of frost on the ground from a cold winter night, as well as after some rain, and there was a little bit of slippage. And then also on the treadmill, I did feel a little bit of slippage in these shoes. So the grip is decent, but I do think that they probably are going to want to work on that a little bit for future iterations or other shoes. But I do like the unique pattern and application of it in the shoe. Now, as far as who's this shoe for, really, I know a lot of runners are becoming more and more aware of how policy, as well as specifically environmental policy and things really can affect running. On top of that, a lot of us really enjoy getting outside, being in nature, and so the more that running shoes are using sustainable materials and recycled materials and environmentally friendly materials, the more that we should be able to have that access and the less pollution we'll have to deal with in the long run. So if you are environmentally conscious, if you're someone who also wants a shoe that portrays that, then that's where I think Hylo is going to really, really stand out to a lot of people, because it is a brand as a whole that is dedicated towards that, and that is how they really approach every single shoe, as opposed to most established running brands nowadays. They're just trying to find like, hey, how can we increase, you know, or how can we decrease our waste or improve our processes by like 1%, 2%. Hylo's kind of taking it from the ground up and saying, how can we make the most environmentally friendly, environmentally conscious shoe or brand as a whole? So I really think that this speaks to that. The other thing is, if you're looking for a shoe that, to me, I think looks really, really nice on feet and is really good looking for even casual use, I think this is one that you could definitely wear, you know, while traveling, wear it to the office, go for a run during lunch, in the morning, whatever it may be. It just has a versatile silhouette, and most of the colors that it comes in are very much kind of this monotone or monochrome, I think, looks overall. Also, if you're just looking for a fun daily trainer, something that gives you a lot of cushion underfoot, but is not going to be pure recovery, this is a good option, because a lot of the standard daily trainers are going to have a little bit more ground feel. And like I said, this does have some ground feel in the forefoot, but for the most part, I think it is a pretty easy overall and cushioned ride. Now, just some final thoughts. Overall, I've been impressed by Hylo. They were a delight to speak with at the running event, and they were really helpful and responsive in me reaching out and getting me a pair for the purpose of review. They're the type of brand that just attracts good people and really cares about the quality of their product, so I'm really excited to see what they do in future years. I do think that they mentioned they might be releasing another shoe this year, or maybe it's next year. I'm not 100% sure, but I would be happy to try it and excited to review it, because you can just feel the love and care that they put into this shoe. And like I said, I love when a new brand comes onto the scene, because I think it takes a lot of drive, a lot of passion or something special to try and start something in such a saturated and like big brand dominated market. So props to Hylo for going out there, making something different, making something unique. I really think they did a good job here with their first shoe. Now, if you're still watching, I sure appreciate it. Please take a second, hit that like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you enjoyed or what you'd like to see more of. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you get notified every time I drop a video. And as always, I'll leave you with a question, which is, what is your favorite small or boutique running brand? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.